Giving Anybody Snacks. I know that the title of this is probably what brought you here because maybe you're struggling a little bit in your snacking as well. But I'm not going to get on here and tell you that everything that you're doing is wrong and need to change and adjust everything in your life. That's not what I'm going to do. So let's pick up our snacks and let's talk about it. In all seriousness, friends, welcome back to Shrinking Podcast, where we shrink the mountains in our life. I'm your host, Erin Shrinking, and I am so glad that you are back with us today. You guys, one of the biggest things that I hear as a coach is about snacking. One of the biggest derailments in our journeys, whether it's weight loss, fitness, overall health, which honestly needs to be the focus for everybody, it's snacking. Snacking can just get in there and cause such a fuss and a mess if we let it. Here's the best part about food, you guys. Here's the best part about snacking. The truth about it is that it really is in our control. Whether or not we feel in control of it is one thing, but it really is in our control. So let's unpack this truth a little bit about our snacking. It is in your control. The things that you put in your body and the things that you choose to have are in your control. Now, I say this to you as a prior 400-pound woman who has had major food addiction in her life, major binge eating issues in her life, major secret drive-through runs, secret snacking. I am filming from my bedroom right now because this was the scene of the crime for many of my binges, because I could so easily tuck myself in here, put on a show, let the kids go to sleep, give my husband his me time, and binge my little heart out. Or even before the kids came around, let my husband have time to himself. Goodness. So that I could have time to myself, so that I could eat, right? These were cycles and patterns that I was very much stuck in my life. And it caused a lot of issues for me, not just in my weight and my health, but with my relationship with food. A big part of my journey was that I used food as a coping mechanism and as a soother and as a pacifier for myself, instead of doing what I call the work, the getting curious about why, the asking the questions about why, right? Sometimes that takes going to therapy. Therapy is amazing if you've got stuff you need to work on, friends. But it's very much a part of my story. So I'm so excited to bring this story to you. Now, this is one of the most shameful things in my life, and it's really hard to talk about. I want to preface with that. This is hard, okay? It's not something I'm proud of. I'm definitely proud of overcoming it, but it's definitely not something I'm proud to share with you today. But I hope that by sharing this, I can meet somebody where they are with their relationship with food and in maybe their snacking and things like that and the things that they're choosing to do, and maybe offer some hope and encouragement that if you're struggling in these things and it seems like a mountain to you to overcome your snacking, I want to let you know that you can shrink that mountain down, and you shrink it down with the truth, you guys, okay? So we all do this. Everybody snacks, okay? Most dietitians, even Dietitian Allie, who works with us in the tribe, she is big on snacks. She even says, give your snacks a buddy. That's how she talks. She's such a light. Oh my gosh. But give your snacks a buddy. Make sure you're snacking. Get those good calories coming in, those good macros, which your body needs, all of that. You guys, snacks matter. They do, right? So it's choosing the right snacks, okay? And I'll get into this a little bit later as we go through, but it really is about choosing the right snacks for you. But I want to acknowledge also when we have this whole other barrier on top of struggling with the mindset about our snacks or struggling with the emotional attachment to our food, it's not as simple as just being follow the meal plan, have your snacks. That's not really what's happening, because I can speak for myself here, where I could get the best menu plan from the best person in the world, right? And I could follow it perfectly to a T all day. And then at night, as soon as it was my decompression time, then it was time. It was that, what meal plan? What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have a clue, right? This is what that pattern was. And this is that pattern that a lot of us get into, is that doing really, really good most of the day or most of the week, and then struggling with overeating our snacks or overeating our meals after that. Most of the time, you guys, this is because we're depriving ourselves. And I want to let you know that restriction and deprivation never works long term. Hear me say long term in your weight loss, fitness, and health journey. Restriction and deprivation will never get you the long-lasting results of health. It might get you quick ones, but it won't get you the long ones, guys. Take this from someone who's been maintaining 250 pounds of weight loss, you guys, for a hot minute now. It will not get you there. This is also someone who has tiptoed and flirted very many times with the restriction and deprivation, trying to take things completely out and trying to make major adjustments to my life just willy-nilly, and not taking the time to progress into that person that can control those habits, right? So our nighttime snacking, you guys, it can have such an effect on us. It can derail our journey. It can make us feel like we're not losing weight if weight loss is your goal, right? It does make a difference. I get asked all the time, will snacking, mess up my weight loss journey? It'll mess it up in ways that aren't really necessarily important, to you. But yes, it will mess it up. What you're most likely worried about, and again, I'm saying you is like me in one spot and maybe some of y'all out there. What you might notice is that when you're snacking more, your scale weight is going to fluctuate. So I want to let you know another truth about this journey. When your eating is inconsistent, therefore so shall be your scale weight, right? Like when your nutrition is inconsistent, your results are also going to be inconsistent. And snacking is one of those things that can really mess it up, because we can eat all our good, happy, yummy, healthy meals all day like we're supposed to. And then the snacks just come in and just mess things up. Like, we're here to party. We're going to mess things up today. That's what your snacks are doing, okay? So what do we do about this? Like, what do we do about this? So first of all, why do we snack? Like, do we snack? Let's go back, okay? Obviously, we snack because we need snacks. We need food. We need nutrition. But I want to zone in just a little bit more on the emotional snacking, maybe that boredom snacking, that habitual snacking that maybe you can't get out to. I want to talk to those people today, right? If you feel good about your snacking and it's not messing up your progress and stuff like that, definitely listen, just, for some general knowledge. But if you're one like me who is hardcore struggling and you're snacking, y'all, I want to offer you what I have to say about it. You know what I mean? I want to offer this to you, so please stick around and listen to it. So why we snack like this, if you're struggling especially with the amount and things like that, if you're struggling with if you're struggling with your snacking, if you're struggling in controlling your portions and how much of what, and saying no to yourself and things like that, which many are, right? Which many are. I want to give you guys some reasons that I have acknowledged in myself and in others through coaching and in my own journey of why we behave this way, okay? So number one, we do this, especially when we do this at home. We're safe and comfortable where we are, and this is our space and our place that we can be ourselves, let go of all the things, and do what we want, right? And sometimes what we want to do is eat. Sometimes what we want to do is snack. Sometimes what we want to do is just decompress, right? So sometimes it's simply you're snacking because you feel safe and you feel secure in where you are in your home. And this is your time to decompress. And here you go, guys. This is a habit that you've built up, right? Any habit that you build up, we can tear down and rebuild. So if this is a habit, if there's like Netflix and chill and eat and movies and eat is part of your like daily thing, and you're like, okay, this is killing me because I'm eating every night and I'm mad that I'm snacking every night and the siren cabinets are calling every night, and you're giving in, a lot of it might have to do with just the fact that you feel really comfortable and secure in your home and where you are right now. Now don't hear me enabling this behavior, especially if it's something that's stealing from you, right? I'm not here to tell anybody how to eat. I'm not here to tell anybody that they're overeating. I'm not here to make anybody feel shameful about their eating habits. I'm here to tell you my story and what helped me. And if you're going through what I went through and you want some help, hey, let's go. So we're comfortable at home and we're safe there. Number two, this a lot of times, guys, is the only time that we have to really decompress. For me, it was the car, right? Like we tend to snack and we tend to let go of those things, right? When we're alone and when we're by ourselves. Some people don't care. They'll snack with anyone, anywhere. I would not. My snacking took place either in my home or it took place in my vehicle where no one could see me, right? It was always in secret. It was never in front of people unless those people were participating in those actions as well. And it brought a lot of shame into my life because it was something I had to hide. And anything that you have to hide, guys, it's going to steal from you. And it stole from me. It did. So, number 3. I'm talking all over my points. I do this a lot. I apologize. Sorry, not sorry. Number 3, it's easier to keep it hidden in the evenings. This is true. This is a fact. This is what I've learned in all the interviews that I've done with people and things like that. One of the reasons why we snack in the evenings, you guys, for those evening snackers, is that we are alone in the evenings. We're by ourselves in the evenings. We don't have other people, bugging us and things like that. Like for me, when my kids go to bed, one of my favorite things to do is to have a snack and sit down and decompress and chill and stuff like that. But guess what? I get to say what that snack is. That snack doesn't have to be a bag of, chips and a bunch of candy and whatever else that I would have eaten before. Oh, and I would have eaten it before, that and more probably. But it's easier to keep it hidden in the evenings and it's easier to keep it hidden at home. So if you're a secret snacker, this might be why you're doing it. It's just easier. It's more convenient, obviously, right? Sometimes, you guys, it can also be purposeful abuse on ourselves. This was me. I don't know. I don't want to say I was purposefully doing it because I don't think I was aware of it at the time, but I was definitely abusing myself with my snacking habits and my eating habits. Like, it wasn't good. It wasn't kind. It was not it wasn't pretty. It was me overfeeding myself all the time and justifying why I could and not needing, not dealing with the reasons I was eating in the first place, right? And it was this pattern. Again, our snacking usually is a pattern. You're going to see me do this a lot. This is a pattern. This is a cycle. This is a loop. But our snacking is usually in a pattern that we've created. Usually all of our eating is in some kind of a pattern that we created, whether that is a chaotic, unorganized pattern, or it is a absolute strict and to the T and every macro accounted for pattern. Usually it's in some kind of a pattern. And until you break that pattern, change that pattern, adjust that pattern, or own that pattern, it's going to continue, right? We get to say when we break that circle, when we break that pattern. So if you're ready to do that in your snacking, if you're sick of letting the siren cabinets have the final say, right? Because who doesn't know? You can be literally in your best self, in your best mind, doing your absolute best, and out of nowhere, you get these ridiculous cravings for something. You got we call them the cabinet sirens. They literally sing to you, "Heron, come get me, I'm delicious." They sing from the cabinet. The fridge opens up in all its glory and all the food is there. It happens all the time, you guys. It happens all the time. What do we do? How do we say no? How do we take back control of this? How do we take back control of it? Man, and for me, guys, it got way out of control. It got so out of control, and I had full enablement in it as well, where I was literally allowed to and encouraged in it, right? Mostly by the people I was surrounding myself with. Again, nothing about them and nothing about people. This is all about me making choices for myself. But it was so much easier to live that lifestyle with others living that lifestyle as well, right? And where it's absolutely acceptable to overeat and binge, and there wasn't any kind of accountability of you guys, this isn't healthy for us. This isn't healthy for us. I don't want to do this anymore, And for me, that's what it took in a lot of ways of I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to behave like this anymore. I don't want the fridge and the cabinets and the food to have control over my life. I don't want that anymore. And realizing what a stronghold it had over me. And you guys, this is one of the biggest things in my life that I've had to surrender on this journey. We're talking about surrender this week in the Shrinking Tribe. Surrendering versus giving up. And one of the biggest things I've had to surrender in my life and in this journey has been food. surrendering the relationship with food that I built up, surrendering the unhealthy ways that I let it fill voids in my life. Oh, it's so, I hate this so much right now. I hate that I'm talking to people who I know are going to see this. It sucks, okay? But it's the truth. And it was killing me, and I was in a prison. I was in a donut prison, y'all, that I had stacked up with donut holes and put a little, Mario flipping thing on the top of it. Literally, you guys, that's what I did with it. And I let it continue. I let it continue. I had to sit with that at one point in my journey and realize, you know what, Erin? Your snacking is out of control. Your choices with your food is out of control. It is killing you. It is taking your monies. It is taking your peace, and it is inputting some shame into your life. And you can, this is the conversation I had with myself. You can look past it all you want to, honey. You can pretend like you don't see it, but the fruit of it is showing up. And it's gonna get you, girl. It's gonna get you. And so I had to have that conversation with myself with this food crap, because it was a mess. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know who could even help. And then there was the whole shame part of it of who do I even tell that I'm struggling with this? Who do I even tell that I'm binging? All these snacks and stuff. And most of this was before my kids were born. And then during the tiny little first 2 years of their lives when your girl was just trying to figure it out, right? It's so easy to turn to food, mamas, daddies, in those seasons where you're exhausted and you're wiped, right? And life is a little bit out of your control. I want to tell y'all something about food right now. Do you know that, I can only speak for myself, okay? Do you know though, when all the crap is hitting the fan in your life, when everything feels like it is on shaking ground and you don't know what the heck is going on, one of the main reasons we turn to food, babies, is because it's the only thing sometimes we can control. Can you think about that with me for a second? What you physically put in your body and what you physically do with your body is literally the only things we can control. So when we're feeling out of control, when I'm feeling out of control in my life, it has a tendency for sure to make me want to over control the things I can control. And that's where I found myself. Over controlling my controllables instead of controlling my controllables. Over controlling the food instead of controlling the food. And don't hear me say controlling as strict. No, we do 80-20, 80-20. No restriction, none of that nonsense. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. Ask me how I know. Goodness gracious. Let's see, where are we at now? A lot of times too, friends, we can turn to these snacks and things like that out of rebellion. For example, I have been on a weight loss, health, fitness journey now. If you count the 8 times before this that I did one and kind of gained back steadily or abruptly and things like that, I've been on a weight loss journey forever. Forever. I have been working on this crap, right? I feel honestly, forever. Seriously, I have been working on this stuff forever. And there can come a point in your journey, as there has come a point in my journey, and oh my goodness, so many others that I have talked to through coaching, where we can get ridiculously rebellious against the things we're doing for ourselves, against the good things we're doing for ourselves. There's a rebellion that can kind of stir up when you're not giving yourself the things that you want over the things that you need, right? I see it all the time in myself. And literally, y'all, listen, don't even pretend. There is that rebellion when we're not getting what we want over what, okay, I need this. I want that, but I need this. There's a rebellion that can come up a little bit. This is part of the seasons of the journey of meeting yourself in that rebellion and reminding yourself what we're doing this for, right? Some of these snacks we're having have no business being so prominent in our life or having the portions of them that we're having, right? It's important to be honest and vulnerable with yourself when it comes to that. But rebellion, guys, is part of it. Rebelling against the good things you're trying to do for yourself. Recognize this. Learn to recognize when you're starting to rebel against your meal plan or against your plan for the day or whatever. It does. When like everyone else is having the cake and you're like, well, don't hear me saying don't have the cake. I'll never tell nobody to not have cake. Ever. You make your choices, and you make choices that support your goals, or you make choices that support your mood. I don't know. You make your choices. I'm not here to tell anybody what to eat. But when you're at something and you told yourself you're not going to have something and everybody else is having that thing, but you don't get to, don't even tell me there isn't something that might stir up in there or have the potential to of like, I don't like this very much. This doesn't feel very good. Like, it does. It can get annoying. It can get annoying. Then reminding yourself of the truth of like, okay, if I have that, I know what the chemical responses in my brain are going to do, and it's going to make me want that over and over and over and over and over again, right? Like reminding yourself the truth about the snacking and why you are wanting to work on it and what it is taking from you in the meantime. If it's taking anything from you, some of you just might need to know how to snack better, right? You just might need to know how to snack better. Let's see. So you guys, after going on my 250 pound journey, I've been maintaining my goal weight that I set for myself almost 3 years now. Getting over the snacking was a major hurdle. One of the biggest accomplishments, honestly, of my journey was getting, I don't ever want to use the word healed. I don't like using that word when it comes to things like this, because I really feel like this is something I'm going to just see myself as like always in a recovery type mindset for. I snack regularly at this point in my life. However, I see myself as always kind of, I have to be a little more aware maybe of the snacking and how I could easily get back into those patterns and things like that. Whether that's a truth or not, it's just kind of how I carry the situation, because I don't want to go back to that. I don't want to go backwards. You know, I tell people all the time, I'm not worried about gaining my weight back because my habits won't allow it. So if there was ever that thing in my life that would like, oh, here it goes, it would be the snacking. It would be the snacking. And that's why I have really good accountability and really good boundaries now around my snacking that help support me with this journey, right? Like, for example, in the Shrinking Tribe, we do our day sheet journals where we plan out our food every single day. We plan them out. We plan our snacks, we plan our food, our movement, our water, and our self-care. You know, and the challenge of the week is to send that to your group every single day. You take a picture of it and you send it. So people are seeing what you're eating, right? As consistently as we do it anyway. You know, another one, like when I go through drive-thrus, like this is a harsh accountability thing for me. When I go through drive-thrus, I always have to phone a friend. And my friend listens to me order. This is something I've set up for myself as a 37-year-old woman to help me remain accountable to myself, because the car and the drive-thru were that was my crime scene for when I would most just lose my control, actively choose to let go of my control when it came to food. So I had to set up some harsh accountability for myself. And it felt a little shameful and humiliating at first, but now it's just really empowering because I don't really ever have to call those friends anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't. So I've set up some boundaries for myself with the food, with what you have in your house, especially, friends, like making choices. And honestly, when it comes to snacking, for example, if one of my tribe members came to me and they were saying, Erin, I'm getting ready to eat the house, what do? I would say to them, what is it that you're wanting? What are you craving right now? What are you craving right now? List it out. Get out a piece of paper. No, if you're going to do this, honey, we're doing it. We're doing the work. If you're going to get that, you're going to do some work real quick. So what are the things that you're craving? Okay, well, I'm craving some ice cream or some Oreos, or I'm craving some chips. I'm not craving anything. I just want to eat. Okay. What happened today? How was your day? Like, can you identify anything at all in your day that would trigger that in you to want to eat? Can you identify anything? Sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. A lot of it, friends, is just getting curious on why. Sometimes it's just a matter of like, okay, yeah, I had a really crappy day and I feel really out of control of a lot of things in my life and I want to turn to food, and that's why. And when we can take it through that truth screen of like, this is why I want to snack, we can combat it and come at it at a different place, and not at a shameful place, but as, no, I know why you're there. I know now why I want to eat. Okay, so now what do we do about the eating part of it, right? What do we do? But what I tell them to do is write out what they're wanting. What are you craving? What do you think is, get curious about why. Why do you think you're having these cravings? How would you feel? How are you going to feel after you eat these things? How are you going to feel after you eat these things? Write it down. How would you feel if you didn't? In an hour, how would you feel if you didn't eat these things? In 1 hour, how would you feel? Right? And you're answering your own questions there, friends. You're telling me what you want to eat, why you want to eat. How's it going to make you feel if you actually go through with that, right? If you go through with that cabinet surge or whatever now this is snacking that is outside of your snacking parameters, right? This is like, we're talking like, listen, okay? But get curious about it. Ask yourself those questions. Why am I wanting this? Why am I wanting? Am I bored? Most of the time, friends, it's because we're bored. Or we're feeling like we need something to do, right? Get yourself a fidget spinner or something. Sunflower seeds has saved my life with my snacking. Keeps my mouth busy, keeps my hands busy, and it's really helped because I have a lot of like anxious energy, and the sunflower seeds helps fill it instead of the food, right? Like finding little better options as well, you guys, is another one of my big tips, is asking yourself, what I want, okay? What would be the best option for me to give myself based on my list here? What's the worst, best thing? And I don't like to label foods, good, bad, I don't. But what's the least worst thing on your list of the things that you want? What's the least worst thing, right? Maybe give yourself that and work on that relationship with food, right? But I like anytime they come to me personally and they want to work on this stuff, this is what I tell them to do, because this is what I do. I ask myself that. And when I would struggle with it, if I ever did have a binge, I've gone almost 3 years now binge free, you guys. And this is from someone who was very much a binge eater. And it was awful. It was awful. But I'm going on almost 3 years without one of those binges. And it's the accountability, and it's the honesty, the vulnerability, and the work of doing it. And unfortunately, that's kind of what it takes. There's not like some easy way to do it. It's making better choices. It's when you're going to snack, have better options for yourself. It's don't bring the crap in the food in the house. If you don't want to eat it, don't bring it in, and don't use your kids as a cop-out for it, right? Like, and if it is going to be in the house, put it somewhere you're not going to get into it if you're struggling with it. Communicate with the people around you as well, letting them know, hey, your girl's trying to take care of herself. Can you keep the chocolate and stuff like over there? Now, don't hear me telling you not to have chocolate, because again, I'm never going to tell you that. I'm never going to tell you don't have things. That's not what we know. No, you make your choices. You learn to make your choices. You learn that relationship with food. You learn what nurtures you, what restores you, what gives you vitality in life. You learn it and you do it. And I swear to you, once you guys see it, it's gonna be like, oh man, I really am in control of this. It really is just a matter of me making active choices for myself and saying how much of what. I don't have to restrict everything. I don't have to take everything out of my diet, and I don't have to like get rid of all the things I love. No, you don't, right? Dietitian Allie will tell you the same thing. We're both 100% on board. The same thing, 80-20. 80-20 in your snacks, 80-20 in your meals, 80-20, guys, 80-20, because we know restriction doesn't work, right? Listen, it doesn't work. Okay, so I've got some tips on how to work on this. You guys want to hear them? Let's go. So how can we navigate through the nighttime snacking, the boredom eating, the emotional eating? Let's talk about it. Number 1, make better choices when snacking. I know, duh. Listen, make better choices. Sometimes it's just a matter of curbing a craving, right? Which are very normal in our lives, especially maybe if we're new to starting a new healthy habit journey or weight loss journey, whatever you're calling it. You're going to have cravings. It's part of it. Every time you see that BK commercial or that steak on the TV, you're going to be like, oh, that looks delicious, right? Or those dang sundaes and stuff out there. Like, the food is always going to taste good. The food is always going to taste the same. We have to be the ones that do the work here, right? The food's not going to. It's always going to be there waiting on you at the drive-thru. Always going to be there waiting on you on the DoorDash app. Always going to be there waiting at you in the conference room. It's always going to be there. We have to do the work to navigate the relationship with it, right? And I know it sounds silly talking about how we have a relationship with our food, but you guys, we really do. If you knew the power that your food had in your body, if you knew the power that your movement had in your body, if you really knew the power that your water had in your body, you guys, man, we wouldn't be rolling the dice. I tell you that much. Your food, our food is amazing. I'm going to leave it at that. Our food is amazing. Number 2, don't go cold turkey. Don't go cold turkey. Don't be like, I'm not having any sugar or carbs all week. You guys, listen up. If you can do it, listen. I'm just telling you, as somebody who's done that a hot minute or 2 times, listen up. Cold turkey does not work very well when you're dealing with your food. It is danger zone, baby. No. You can't you can't go cold turkey on your food. You need food. Don't mess up your relationship with your food by eliminating and ripping yourself out of things. Unless your doctor's telling you to. And then always listen to them over me. Always, obviously. Always. But when it comes to these kinds of things, taking it out cold turkey might not be the best option for you unless there's absolute need for you to. Sometimes it needs to be a progression into, or a regression into out of those habits of what you're choosing. So don't feel like you have to. Maybe I should say it like this. Don't feel like you have to go cold turkey because I couldn't, right? Like, I couldn't go cold turkey, and I tried a lot of times, and I was miserable. I was angry. I was resentful of my journey. You shouldn't be resentful of a health journey. You shouldn't be resentful of the things that you're doing to take care of yourself. I mean, I don't want to say you shouldn't, because you're going to feel a lot of feelings about when you really get into it. You really are, and a lot of it is breaking through those emotions and those feelings. But you're going to have a lot of those feelings. You're going to have a lot of them. But don't go cold turkey. Give yourself grace, because when we have mess ups, when we go to that daggum cabinet siren, when we give in to those cravings, when we do and eat those things that we said we weren't going to do and eat, we also have to still be able to face ourselves and love ourselves and have grace over ourselves so that we get to have the grace of human beings to try again. Because believe it or not, friends, what looks like failure with this stuff is really what progress is going to look like. It takes a lot of what looks like mess ups when you're going through this stuff. It takes a lot of trial and error. It takes a lot of, I'll be making like PB&Js for the kids, and I'll eat all the crust off that sandwich without even thinking about it. That's like, that will mess my dang ratios up for the day if I'm one of those that like to do it. Come on, like, it can be so easy just to take extra nibbles and extra bites and things like that. It can be so easy to. So this isn't something that we need to get down on ourselves for. This is something that we just need to be honest with ourselves about, get curious about, especially if it's stealing from us, and maybe set some practical things to help us along the way with it, right? Because it's a big deal. Overeating is a big deal, guys. It really is. And I don't want to be that person, but I'm going to be that person. Taking more than you need or giving yourself less than you need, it's a big deal. Okay? It's a big deal. Number 3, figure out and identify why. We already talked about that. Change up your routine a little bit. Sometimes it's like if you just change up your routine a little bit of maybe what you do in the evenings. Maybe it's beautiful out, guys, right now. It's summer. We've got fresh produce at the farmer's market. We've got, everything is stacked against us right now on our health journeys. The weather's great. It's 100 degrees outside. So if you want a sauna, do it. But the weather's great. There's fresh fruit and fresh produce and all the things, right? Sometimes it might look like you just switching up your routine a little bit. Go on a walk in the evening instead of, maybe go on a walk 3 nights a week instead of watching TV 5 nights a week. And I'm not saying that to judge anybody, right? We love watching TV. We're huge Star Trek fans. We love watching shows and things like that. But we also love being active and not. The more I'm sitting there, I'm telling you right now, I'm thinking about that cabinet. I'm thinking about what snacks I can have. I'm like, okay, Jean-Luc Picard, what snacks can I have? What you got in that replicator, bro?
Tea Earl Grey, hot.
That beverage has not been programmed into the replication system.
That's what I'm thinking about. So the more I sit there doing those activities that I would do when I used to binge, it can be a challenge. So I mean, I've had to set up boundaries for this in my life where it's like, okay, maybe instead of sitting down and watching a bunch of TV every night, I get my movement done or some extra movement done, maybe while the family watches a movie and they'll see me do this all the time. They'll be watching a show and having a snack and things like that. And I like to make snacky boards. This is another hack I have, guys. Snacky boards. They're charcuterie boards. I call them adult Lunchables because that's what they are. In our house, we call them snacky boards. And I will build up a snacky board with some meat, some cheese, some veggies, some dip, some fruit, some little crackers and things like that, and some nuts, and we'll put it in the living room and we'll all enjoy it and things like that. And it's one of those healthy little hacks that we get to snack. It feels good. Everything we're eating is good for us. Like, it's good for us. So changing up the routine from sitting around eating chips and dip, and whatever else we wanted, and a bag of M&Ms and whatever else, now we can still have our snacks and enjoy them and eat them together, but it's better. It's better than before. And and I don't do this all the time. Don't think I'm some nut that can't sit down and enjoy a movie, because your girl can get down on a movie, but not all the time can I. I have things I need to do. I got movement I need to get in, which is the exercise, what we call exercise. But I get all that in, but they'll see me get down on the floor and do some push-ups and squats and work on my handstands and stuff like that, because I'm like, this is kind of triggering me a little bit to want to binge or want to snack or want to go to the cabinet. So I need to take my mind off of it. It's one of the little ways I do it, is getting out of the routine of, okay, instead of sitting here and fighting this in my mind right now, let's just get out of this environment and it'll go away, because I know I don't really want that. I know it's just my subconscious telling me, hey, this is good, this would be fun, this would be good, remember when we did this? Yeah, I do. I do. And actually, so much that I'm going to get up right now, I'm going to go do some workouts in the middle of the living room. That's how much I remember it. But getting out of that normal routine, especially if it's like a habitual thing where you find yourself struggling with these things, right? Let's see. Change up your routine. Go to bed early. Go to bed early. Y'all listen up. I'll tell you what, sometimes it's just like, just go to bed. Go to bed. I ain't fighting this battle tonight. It is too much. The siren cabinets are calling. The fridge is calling. My friends are asking what are those cookies? What the flavors are of the week. Everything I scroll on has got this delicious, tasty treat on it. And I'm just going to go to bed. I'm just going to go to bed, because sometimes going to bed is a better option. Sometimes going to bed early is a better option, right? Especially if you're like on the brink of making some choices that you don't want to make. Sometimes just night, your girl's out, right? Sometimes we got to do this, friends. Number 6, plan for your snacking. Guys, this is probably the biggest tip I can give you. Plan for your snacking. Accommodate your snacking. You don't need to be feeling like you can't have any of the things that you love. I want to eat the foods I like, right? Like, I want to eat the foods I like. So with my snacking, when I go to Aldi or Price Chopper or wherever I shop, I choose only the foods that I want. I choose the snacks that I want. Even if they're a little bit more expensive, I get balance. I get a little chocolate. I get fruits and veggies. I get my proteins and things like that. I get the kind of crackers that I like and the tortillas that I like and things like that. So I never have to tell myself no. There's nothing in this house that I can't have. It's just a matter of the quantity of it, right? Which is all in my hands and all in my choices. But that's another little thing that I do to help set myself up for success in my snacking, is that the food in my house is all food that I love that I can eat. There's not an excuse. right? Very rarely is there things in here that I really just need to hide or something like that. That's not a thing we do here. Like, we get our snacks, we get the foods that we love that are really good for us. Yes, they're balanced, absolutely. But I don't tell myself no. And I don't do those things. Like, I don't have to. So yeah. Plan for your snacking. Plan for it. Have the things in your fridge and in your cabinets that you can enjoy, that you'll love eating, that are satisfying to you, and maybe that you actually know the nutrient value of. That you know that this is a snack that you can have and that's good and healthy for you, right? Number 7, if you're taking notes and I'm on the right number, be accountable. This is another big tip of mine. Be accountable in your snacking. Be accountable. If you're struggling in your snacking, especially, guys, be accountable in it. There's no shame in this. There's so many ways you can be accountable in it. Your spouses and your friends might not be the best choices because they love you too much. They want to keep you comfortable and things like that. But you guys, be accountable to it. Well, here's the deal. Here's the truth about this stuff. Whatever is remains unhidden and left unhidden is going to just continue to grow and fester and take root, right? So if your snacking and stuff like that is doing that and it's hidden from personal experience, it has to be brought to light. Now, I'm not saying get on a podcast and tell the world that you struggle with the stuff like I'm doing right now. Hi, Mom. What I'm saying is it can't be left in the secret in your own life and in your own mind. It needs to be surrendered. It needs to be surrendered. As in, I'm not going to carry it anymore. I'm going to heal from it, right? Heal from it. I'm going to make progress in this thing that's stealing from me. Number 8, eat more food during the day. Most of the time, if we are over snacking, and there's research behind this, friends, I ain't going to give it to you. Go look it up for your daggum selves. There's research behind this. Eat more food during the day. Most of the time, when we are overeating, our snacks and things like that, it's because we're not eating enough at our meals. We're not getting satiated. We're not. So eat more at your meal times. Eat more food, friends. This will really help curb those cravings. Because when you get actual hunger and cravings mixed together, and then you got the snack, the siren cabinets calling, and the fridge, open with its golden doors, it's a mess. It's a mess. So set yourself up for success by making sure that you're satiated during the day, and that what you're eating in your meals are actually what you need, right? And it'll really help. I've noticed this in my own life for sure. I hired a dietitian at one point. This is before I met Allie, and her advice to me was to eat more food during the day. That would make me, yep. And she was right. So making sure, friends, making sure that you're eating enough food, that you're getting in what you need to get in. You can go to any of those calculators online and see where your ranges should be and all those things. You can start working with a coach. Dietitian Allie takes clients all the time if you want to work with her. But figure out your ratios and where you need to be, where you're supposed to be, making sure that you're being accountable in your nutrition. And a big part of accountability is knowing the truth of what you need. So eat more during the day, be accountable, give yourself grace as you work through this stuff. I know I said that already once, but I want to remind you that grace is a big part of this, that there's going to be some times where we do overeat, or we do, eat something we said we weren't going to eat that day and things like that. Like, I get it. I've done it, heaven's sakes. But do you know what doesn't help? Shaming yourself and beating yourself up about it. Do you know what does? Giving yourself grace and loving yourself through it. If you're like, you know what? I'm going to give myself permission to not be super awesome at this yet. I'm going to give myself permission as a human being to maybe not have mastered this yet. I'm going to give myself permission as a human being to not have just absolutely nailed this just yet. It's okay. It's okay to be new at something. It's okay to be learning something. It's okay to be a beginner in learning new skills and habits. It's okay. So give yourself permission and give yourself grace to work on the things you need to work on. That shame isn't going to help at all. It's got to be love. It's got to be grace. And number 10, set goals for yourself in this area by slowly working towards progress. Set small goals in these areas for yourself when it comes to your snacking. So for example, with me, I was finding myself snacking daily. I was finding myself snacking pretty much every night, especially while we were watching movies. Anytime I was driving from the home to the office, that was my like secret snacky time because it was my time by myself, right? It was my time by myself, hitting up different drive-thrus and things like that because I deserved it. I deserved it. It was, but I had to set some goals for myself though. Like, you guys, it was hard. It was a mess. But my goals were, instead of doing that every day, I was only allowed to do it 3 times a week, right? It wasn't, no, Erin, you can't do it at all. That would not have helped me at that point in my life. I would have lasted a day and then there you go, peace, and you never see me again. But giving myself realistic goals with the snacking of, you know what, I'm not going to tell myself no, but I am going to say how much of what. So when the cabinet sirens are calling, I don't have to always tell myself no, but I do have to measure it out. I have to count it out. I have to put it on a plate. I have my boundaries around it, but telling myself no and depriving myself is usually not a part of that, right? It's working on that relationship with food, working on being satiated and enjoying your food, right? A lot of times it can be with, you ate so fast today, guys. Like, you ate all your meals so fast because we're so busy. We're so dang busy that at night when you're home and you're watching TV and you're kicking it, that's the time you actually get to sit and enjoy your food. And you get to actually sit and decompress. Like, I get it. But there's a lot of aspects here, though, that aren't going to serve you with those behaviors, especially if you're trying to have some fat loss on our bodies or build muscle and things like that. Like, it does make a difference. So when I get asked, do snacks make a difference on our journey? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. So I want to remind you guys that weight loss is about freedom. Fat loss is about freedom. Fitness is about freedom. Right? This whole journey is about freedom. It's not about restriction. It's not about doing the hard, impossible, ridiculous things. It's about finding freedom from the things that are holding us back. It's about finding freedom from the mountains in our life, shrinking them down, making them smaller, right? For me, the snacking was a huge mountain. And oh man, and I still struggle with it. Even this far out, yes, I still struggle with it. That's why I say I feel like I'm kind of always going to have to be very hypersensitive to this aspect, because I don't want it to just somehow slowly take up some kind of a, stronghold in my life again, because it had one for way too long, right? So you guys, I hope that you maybe took something away from this as I shared my story about my journey with my snacking. It was a mess. However, guys, there's hope on the other side of that, because here I am almost 3 years later, or 3 years since my last binge, right? That's, man, right? I haven't said that out loud too many dang times, but I'm really proud of that. There's hope in the snacking. There's hope in the strongholds that food might have over us. I know that there is, because I found it. I have it. So there is hope in that. Do the work. Get curious. Be accountable. Be vulnerable and honest with yourself about your snacking, right? Say how much of what. Have your boundaries around the snacks. And most importantly, friends, set yourself up for success by planning and preparing for the food that is in your home, right? You get to say what's brought in, and you get to say how much of what. So guys, I'm so glad you joined us today on today's podcast as we talk about snacking, all things snacking. Thank you for listening to my story and my journey with this. And friends, we'll see you guys back here again next week for another segment for you guys. And I hope you have an amazing day, an amazing weekend, and an amazing 4th of July. Make active choices, say how much of what, and live with intention. I'll talk to you guys soon.